Germany is the land of law and regulations, and there are certain laws that will actually really get you into trouble, so you might get fined, sued, or even end up in jail. And as a foreigner, it's very easy for us to trip on these laws. So stick around if you want to know what they are, because we will talk about 5 very German laws that maybe you're not so aware of. Hey, I'm Jen, and I'm from Guatemala.
And I'm Yvonne, and I'm German.
And we're from simplegermany.com, where we help expats settle into life in Germany more smoothly. So, first of all, disclaimer, right? We are not lawyers. We're not like legal advisors. This is based on the research that we have done on the internets. And some things have happened to us as well. So first, we need to clarify that there are 2 types of fines in Germany, right? There's like the fine that you do something wrong, like you speed, you throw trash inappropriately or whatever.
Right.
And you get a fine, and that's the set amount.
And that is called Bußgeld, and you're just doing an Ordnungswidrigkeit.
Genau.
And there's like you said, there's a catalog, it's a set amount. Like the other day, I spat on the highway and I got a 10 euro Bußgeld, and I just paid that and it's over with that. And it's simple as it is.
Yes, that's the thing. And then there are the fines that actually people take you to court, and then a judge decides how much you pay and if you actually go to prison or not.
And that would be called a Geldstrafe, because you actually did a Straftat, like you have you did something criminally wrong.
Wrong, okay. Well, criminally already has the word wrong in it.
Yeah.
You did
but
something
it's
criminal.
a criminal offense.
Yeah,
there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a better thing. Yeah, okay. So we will talk about 2, like both of them here. So we will first start with the classical Bußgeld. Bußgeld?
Yeah, very good.
Bußgeld examples. Make sure to stick around until the end of the video, because we will actually give you a tip on how you can protect your personal finances in case you have the second kind of fee, which is the one where someone takes you to court. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so let's jump into it. Number 1 is, please don't ever ride public transportation without a ticket. This happened to me on the first week that I got to Germany, unfortunately, because I don't know, it was a very hectic, actually I think it was the first day that I was going to work. It was a very hectic day. I didn't understand the machine worked. I jumped into the train, and unfortunately, there was someone controlling there and asked for my ticket. So what happens in Germany? Public transportation in Germany, specifically trains and trams, they're not controlled by these like gates or whatever that you might see in New York or London
or Paris
or any other kind of country, right? So pretty much you buy a ticket or don't, and you can just enter the train or tram.
You can access
freely.
Exactly the train or tram.
So the way Germans control this is that they actually have people whose sole job is to go into public transportation mediums like a train or tram or bus and ask every person individually for the ticket.
Yeah.
May I see your ticket? May I see your ticket? And if you don't have a ticket, my friend.
And the sneaky thing is that they don't even have to be dressed in uniform. They can be looking just like you and I and everyone else.
So you don't know.
Undercover.
Yes, right? They're like undercover. It's so crazy.
Exactly. They're undercover and check the tickets. And it's also a misconception, like you can maybe in other countries, you jump on the bus and then you basically purchase the ticket from the purchase person. Oh my God, from the ticket person on the bus.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. The moment you get controlled, if you don't have a valid ticket, you get fined.
So what happens? They ask you to, at the next stop, please exit the vehicle with them, right? They will ask for your ID, and they will write your information down, and they will give you a piece of paper with a fine of minimum 60 euros that you need to pay. This is called writing in black in Germany, or Schwarzfahren. And the minimum is 60 euros, right? And you do need to pay that fine, because otherwise you will get into trouble.
And I would say that since that incident happened to you, the law has changed a bit, and now you can actually also be taken to court. What? You don't have to be, but you can be.
What? That is
so
crazy.
It's actually even stronger an offense now.
Yes, so actually I would recommend the easiest way to get a train ticket in Germany is to download the app. We have a whole video of 10 apps that you need in Germany, and there we talk about the public transportation app. Yeah. That's like my number 1 recommendation, because sometimes the machines are very confusing.
Or they only take coins.
Yeah, or it can get very hectic, and you're running for the train and it's super crazy. So anyway, so that is, so don't ride black. It's number 1. Let's see what else we have here on the list. Number 2 on my list is actually swimming in prohibited areas.
Protected water.
Or protected water can get you a fine of up to 5,000 euros.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Now, Jen just said in the beginning of the video, these are things that might be uncommon to foreigners. Well, I didn't know that the fine would be that high.
You see? And so what is like a scenario where you might do this? So if you're an outdoor person, like we love hiking, we love exploring outdoors, and if there's a protected body of water, and you swim in it, and someone sees you, and trust me, Germans will call the police, and someone like reports you, and they come and find you doing that crime, you will need to pay a fine, which is so crazy. So just like, is the swim really worth 5,000 euros? No.
And these bodies of waters or lakes
Yeah.
or whatever, they actually exist. And sometimes they are very tempting because they are really beautiful.
Yeah, if it's a super hot summer stay,
Yeah.
you see this very beautiful lake and you just want to jump into it, don't. Take a water bottle and just spray it over. Yeah, so be careful about that. And don't worry, because there are big signs that says like schwimmen verboten.
Exactly.
And there's like no swimming.
And that's why on the contrary, we have badeseen that are actually lakes particularly for swimming.
Yeah, so that's good to know, right? So here, actually, we come to number 3, which when I heard this for the very first time, I was like, what? Washing your car, man, your own car at home is not allowed. Okay, there's a bit of a debate here.
Washing the car is not the act of washing the car is not what is not allowed, but the act of having like dirty water, especially if you use like chemical soap or anything like that, running into the canalization, that is the thing that is not allowed.
Yeah, and that you can get a fine of up to 1,000 euros. So according to the ADAC, which is the German Automotive Club, every state and every city and every region and every little town has their own regulations for this. And there might be some exceptions where it is allowed, but it's most likely not allowed.
Yes.
Especially if it's like engine oil that is coming into the sewage system, that is like frowned upon, right? So long story short, before you start going like, is it allowed? Is it not allowed? Is it not? Just go to a car wash. Really, that's really the easiest thing, because it's things. So don't think if you're moving to Germany, for example, like in the US movies, you see this like car wash that you can drive to with like, at a home that a university is doing or whatever. No, because it's not allowed.
It's not that you can drive to a car wash, you can drive to is allowed.
Sorry.
But if there's like, first of all, we don't have the car wash, teenagers that want to wash your car on the street just because of that reason.
Exactly.
Yeah? So if you want to wash your car, take it to a car wash.
Exactly. And there's plenty of car washes.
Yes, usually next to pit stops.
Yeah, exactly. So that's an interesting one. Now here we come to the 4th one on my list, which also when I heard about this the first time, I was like, what?
I think everything is like,
what? Actually, yeah, because number 5 is actually what? So downloading copyright material. I mean, when you hear it, it sounds like obviously you're not supposed to do this. But hear me out. Okay, so like in Guatemala, right? Like people are like expert pirates, right? Like you actually go to the market.
Online pirates, yeah?
Yeah, online pirates. Not on the sea, obviously. We don't have boats really, but anyway, so I'm kidding. You actually go to the market to buy the latest like movie or TV show or whatever that you buy it for like 5 quetzales, which is the Guatemalan currency, and which is equivalent to like 50 cents of a euro. Yeah. And someone goes and films the movie in the cinema, or they download it illegally, and that's what they sell. So and I know this happens in other countries too, right? Like I know it happens in Egypt, I know it happens in Greece as well, because I've had coworkers and we've talked about this. So it's very common for us to download stuff from the internet. I don't know why, but it's just the way, our culture is around. So a lot of us, we come to Germany like, oh, I want to watch this movie, I'm just going to download it. Ooh. And what happens is that usually the downloading services, right, that we use to download, that people use, because I don't download it, they're called torrenting services. And what that does is that as you're downloading material, copyright material, it's split into different chunks, which is at the same time shared to other people. So you are inevitably becoming a proxy for actually resharing copyright material, and that's where the problem comes into place. So because you are in Germany, right, and also your IP is public, there are actually lawyers out there who are paying attention to which IP addresses are downloading or using these torrenting services. And they have the right to ask the internet service provider, I have this IP address, I want the name and the address. They will do that, and they will send you a letter with a fine between 500 and 1,500 euros. I'm telling you, this is true because I had a Greek coworker. On his first 3 months of living in Germany, he downloaded I don't know how many movies, and he got a really big fine.
And the fine that Jen just mentioned is like per case, right?
Yes.
So it, especially like her colleague, if you download a gazillion, 10, 15 movies, it is per movie, or even also song. It's not just also music. It's not just movie,
of course,
right?
Any copyright material, really, right?
And that was not it's not a one-time case, but if you are actually active in expat forums or whatsoever, that happens to a lot of foreigners because they just unaware and their culture works differently. Yeah,
exactly. So that's a big one, and you can get the fine reduced maybe to 300 or 500 if you have a lawyer. And we will give you a tip about that, how to maybe have a lawyer if you're looking for one in a not so expensive way. So stick around. So don't download things illegally. That's like thing. But streaming, on the other hand, I need to clarify this because sometimes there's confusion between downloading and streaming. Streaming is legal, on the other hand.
Because you don't download anything.
Exactly. Services like Netflix, Amazon Prime, and whatever other streaming platforms, they're okay.
Right, because you're renting the content, right?
Exactly. And you're not like actively sharing the copyright material, right? Which is just consuming and you're paying for it, right? Because behind a paid wall, usually. So that's an interesting one.
And I must add, I find it totally okay because at the end of the day, the people putting their work into the copyrighted production.
It makes sense, yeah.
I mean, that's their work and that's their business. So obviously we need to pay for streaming platforms to access. It's basically, if you want to build a house and so you steal the bricks from the neighbor.
Exactly.
More or less.
Kind of, it's a good analogy, yeah. So actually this fine that you get for downloading illegal copyright material illegally, would that be considered a Bußgeld or a Strafe? I would say it's a mixture,
I would say, to be honest, I don't know.
Yeah.
Point clear, I don't know. And I would actually say it can be also a Straftat, depending on, I would say it depends on the circumstances.
Because there's a lawyer behind that like lawsuit, like, hey, you did this, I want money, you can go to court.
I would say it depends on the circumstances, yeah.
So that could be a mixture of both, right? Yeah. So now we go to number 5, which again is like, what? And this is very interesting. This would be considered the what's the name of the second one? Not Bußgeld, but?
Straftat.
Straftat. And that is insulting people, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. So you get a Geldstrafe.
Genau.
Mainly insulting people in a traffic scenario. So in German you would say Geldstrafe, Beleidigung im Straßenverkehr.
Wow.
Beleidigung im Straßenverkehr. Yeah.
Wow. And this comes as a big surprise because in my country, where I come from, actually insulting people while driving is a national sport.
I can confirm.
Yes. So imagine you come to a country where you shouldn't be doing that. No. Yeah. So this one again comes into if you insult someone, that someone can take you to court, and then based on what the judge says, they give you a fine, right?
Yeah.
So the fines that we're going to mention now, these are from real cases where people were taken to court and the judge decided on this fine, the maximum fine that they had to pay.
The whole taking to court thing in German is called Anzeige, eine Anzeige erstatten. Or if someone tells you, ich zeig dich an,
Whoa.
Not a good thing. That means he's gonna sue you.
Which I would understand, like I show you something. No, but it's Anzeige, ne? Yeah. And how do you say show?
Zeigen.
See, this is where the little an makes the big difference, doesn't it? So let's look into the funny examples, or maybe not so funny. So according to our research, right? According to these cases that were taken to court, if you spit on someone, which is a very who spits on...
But why exactly? Is it a national sport to spit on someone? Let me roll down my window. Oh, you too? So I can spit on you.
I don't know. Come on. Maybe. But clearly someone spat on someone and was taken to court.
Yeah.
Or you actually intentionally bump into someone aggressively. The judge ruled for 2 years in prison.
What the?
What? 2 years in prison. And I would say, I don't know, maybe, I'm not a judge, but I would argue, we talked about this offline, that maybe it has to do with your record if you've been
I would say so.
Because 2 years in prison, that sounds ridiculous.
Harsh. Yeah. But then again, don't spit at people.
Yeah, that's a very easy thing to say.
You start with the strongest of all.
I know. Now let's tone it down a little bit. So if you stick your tongue to someone, the judge, has asked for a person to pay 150 euros for that. I mean, this is going to court, right? You also have to pay for the fees of the lawyers, the fees of the whole thing. You get such a big process, right? Anyways, continuing. Calling someone a stupid cow, which in German is
Du blöde Kuh.
Someone has paid 300 euros for that. Can you imagine that? Calling someone antisocial, which in German is
Du bist voll asozial.
Or asozial, 550 euros. Wow. Now this is an interesting one. If you address a police officer with du, so in German there is Sie for very respectful, addressing someone, and du for a buddy, right? And if you call a police du, that kind of gives a sign of disrespect.
Exactly.
And someone has paid up to 600 euros for that.
Yeah. Now I would argue that if you are a foreigner and it's clear that your German is not fluent and you're struggling with a Sie and du, that, in that case, if you accidentally call a police officer du, they won't immediately take you to court. But if I would do that, and especially in a tone of voice where I'm very aggressive, that will get me into trouble.
Yo, that's super interesting, right? Now for showing the middle finger, which I'm not going to show you the big thumbs, but like, by the way, like this video if you're liking this content so far, right? But showing the middle finger, actually, someone has paid 4,000 euros for that. Oh, can you imagine?
And I would say this is the classic thing driving a car, right? Being aggressive, being like unhappy, whether it's you got cut off or someone is not driving fast enough for you, and then you plop that little finger there, and the other person writes down your license plate. Ideally also has a witness, then
yeah, that's the thing, right? Because I think maybe by having a witness, you have a better case. Because if it's your word against someone else's, or having a recording of something.
Basically, it all comes down to that.
Don't insult people in Germany.
Anywhere, but especially in traffic and all these. Why it cannot be a criminal offense? Because obviously we want calm, controlled, rational demeanor while driving or while cycling or whatsoever, to have our roads safer.
Yeah, which makes sense, right? Yeah. So then let's jump into that.
And a more respectful demeanor with your Mitmenschen, with the people that you live with.
Yeah, Mitmenschen, that's a nice word. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, yeah, which makes sense, and I agree. Yeah. So but long story short, don't insult people, right?
Just know that you should not do that, whether, you're heated or not.
Yeah, exactly. So these are like fines that people have done on the street. These criminal offenses that people have done while driving and stuff. But don't kid yourself. Germans love to be right. And not only when you're driving and you might insult someone or something, a neighbor can sue you. Yeah, a neighbor can also sue you because, I don't know, you didn't close the door before 10 or you left a trash bag in front of it. I don't know. There are very ridiculous things where people have sued other people for. Yvonne's parents, for example, they have a very, very lovely neighbor. Not lovely at all. And how many times has this neighbor taken your parents to court?
I don't have enough fingers.
Like over the years, they've been living like in the same part. Like it's like his hobby to take your parents for court for the most ridiculous things. Yeah. So if your parents would like have to pay for all these fees and all these things, they would have lost a lot of money by now, right?
Yes.
So just know that you can also get sued by random things that people just think they're right in it.
Exactly.
Obviously, it has to make sense in the sense like there's a law kind of for that. Like someone can't sue you because you're wearing a black shirt, right? Like that's not a thing.
You're riding a black shirt?
You're wearing a black shirt. Right? You have to be doing something wrong.
Well, to their opinion.
To their opinion, yeah. But it has to be also kind of legally based, right?
Right. You are.
So then how do you protect yourself from being like sued and stuff, right?
So obviously in Germany, we love insurances.
Of course.
And of course there is a legal insurance that protects your finances in terms of if you get sued, or if you want to sue someone because you're mistreated, that the legal insurance will cover the lawyer fee and the court costs, the court fees. Now, let's just be very clear here. Any legal insurance will not cover any fine that you receive.
Exactly.
Whether it's a Bußgeld or a Geldstrafe, it doesn't matter.
You will still need to pay that fine if the judge obviously rules that fine needs to be paid.
Yes. So a legal insurance protects you, like I said before, for lawyer fees and court fees. And of course, it can help you to also contact a lawyer for a consultation if you're unsure of how to handle a situation, or to argue, for two lawyers to argue out of court for
like a settlement?
A settlement, exactly, yeah. Now, why we talk about legal insurance? Because it's one of it's not the most famous and favored insurance in Germany. That would be the Haftpflichtversicherung.
The personal liability insurance.
Yeah. But half of Germans or half of people living in Germany have legal insurance. And that gives you a good estimate that there is a good chunk of people in this country that are protected and also are inclined to wanting to sue you. And since foreigners, because of their lack of knowledge, obviously, and different cultures,
make mistakes,
different cultural backgrounds, are more inclined to get into trouble, it is an insurance that it's up to you to get it or not, but you should look into, right? Whether you think it's feasible or worth it for you or not.
Exactly. To give you an example, for example, having that lawyer would have been a good use case if you accidentally downloaded these movies. You get this fine. You can consult your lawyer to know if this letter that you received is legit, because there's also a lot of scammers out there, which they pretend to send you a fine, but it's not. So you can consult your lawyer. Is this lawsuit actually legit? B, can you negotiate somehow to reduce it? And just have general consultation, right? So that would be a perfect use case for having a lawyer. Also, if you get into trouble at work or you feel like you're being mistreated at work, for some reason in Germany saying, I will consult it with my lawyer or I will call my lawyer, the tone of the situation changes. Yes. And people tend to like back down, right?
Threatening with a lawyer is a national sport in Germany.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, as sad as it is,
yeah.
And I've done it. It's been done to me. It just happens. But the two use cases where actually legal insurance comes into play most is at home and at work. So at work with your employer, whether it's about getting fired where there's no right, or any other misdemeanor, I would say, at work. But also, secondly, what Jen already mentioned, at home with your neighbors and landlord, particularly, especially also with foreigners, that they, landlords try to scam money out of foreigners. That is unfortunately a truth. And if you choose to protect yourself, that would be a use case.
Yeah, exactly. And all of our readers at simplegermany.com, actually, they have chosen as their number one legal insurance provider, Getsafe. Getsafe is a pretty cool company because they provide multiple insurances, actually, one of them being legal insurance, and it's all 100% digital. It's all in English, man. It's all in English, and it's all very easily accessible through their app, and you can file claims through the apps, and they have amazing reviews on Trustpilot and other like platforms, right? So, and for paying, I would say from 15 euros a month, you can have that peace of mind if you decide to, right? To, okay, I have a lawyer, I can, ask questions, and 15 euros, I mean, it's what, like 2 beers? Really? Yeah, it's like 2 beers.
Depends on what kind of beers.
Well, let's say two cocktails.
But anyway, so we have a link below for Getsafe. It is in the description box. It is an affiliate link, meaning if you choose to purchase their insurance, we get a small commission, and that we use, of course, to create more helpful content to you.
Exactly, and this commission comes at no additional cost to you. This is just a way that you support Simple Germany. Yeah. But you don't think that you have to support Simple Germany by getting like legal insurance now. Please, this is up to you and your discretion and what you think you need, right, in your life in Germany. However, if you do want to support us in a different way, you can always like this video and subscribe to the channel because that really helps YouTube to recognize that this is useful content and other English-speaking people can learn from this, right? Yeah. And if you want to go the extra mile,
you can also buy us a coffee. Up there we have a link below, and basically it's a small donation in form of a coffee, which of course we will also use to improve and keep creating content for this channel.
Yeah, well, it's not in form of a coffee. The donation amount is equal to buying us a coffee.
Yes.
Otherwise, people will think they're going to send us a coffee.
Okay. But I would say the $1 million question right here, since we talked so much about legal insurance, is:
do we have legal insurance?
Yes, we do.
Of course. Yes, of course. And I personally feel super happy about it because I tend to be sometimes a clumsy person. And I would say personally, I've used it once in a case that had to do with bureaucracy in Germany. But that's a story for a different time. Yeah. And that worked wonders. So anyways, we hope you enjoyed this video and be safe out there, right? Now that you know some things that you shouldn't be doing. And see you next Monday.
Yes.
Until then, cheers!